All right, we are at the top of the hour, so I want to honor and respect your time. I'm thankful that you're here with me this morning and excited about the good things we get to share together. Um, you are here to talk about financial ease, that elusive thing that we strive for. And today I get to share with you some great tips and tricks and ways that you can begin to have that in your life, because it's so important that your money's working for you instead of taking you on a wild ride, which is what happens to so many of us. So welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Let's see here. I will, just as a caveat, we're using Zoom for the first time, so bear with us as I figure this all out. There we go. All right, so my intention for today is to help create a new money paradigm for you, something that's a more simple and effective approach to money so that you truly get to have a way of thinking that generates ease. You know, money is one of these things that's a really powerful force, and we want it to be working with us instead of taking us on a wild ride, which is what happens so often for many of us. So let's talk about the things that we're going to learn today. We're going to talk about 3 things that you must have in place for this financial ease to be present for you. We're going to talk about how to avoid the single biggest financial mistake that I see people make over and over. We're going to talk about the reasons that you can do this differently. I've seen it happen for so many people. I call it when the money gets real, and it can happen for everyone. We're going to talk about what makes the lifeblood of your business and how that flows. And then I'm going to share with you my #1 tip for knowing what to do and what to do when. So be prepared to take some notes, you know, grab a cup of water, a cup of coffee, whatever it is for you. I've had my 2 cups this morning, so I'm ready to rock and roll with you. And at the end of today's presentation, my hope is that we will have some time for Q&A. So if you've got questions, mark them down or put them in the chat, and Gina will let me know what those are as we get through. Okay. So at the end of today's presentation, I have a special gift for you as well as an invitation. And so you'll want to stick around until the end because that special gift is something that can really set you up to win. All right, I know some of you took the quiz this morning. The quiz was designed to kind of give you an opportunity to just kind of check in and see where you are on the foundations of financial ease. So it's 10 simple questions. If you haven't had a chance to take it, don't worry about it. You can go back and take it later, but it's just an opportunity to kind of look at where are the areas for me to focus. So if you did take the quiz, I hope you have that with you. And on the areas where you marked yourself with a score that's on the lower end of things, and lower to me means 7 and below, then just kind of listen today from that space of what are the things that you can take away from today in order to apply to those areas and raise those numbers up. Okay, so I know that you're here this morning because you're typically in one of 3 spaces. You could be brand new to business and just trying to make sense of all that's required to get revenues flowing. We wear many, many hats as entrepreneurs. And sometimes in the beginning that can be a little bit overwhelming because of course getting the cash moving is our #1 focus in the beginning. Or maybe you're already making some great consistent income and now you're ready to put some more fun into life. Have some greater support is typically what that looks like. You're ready to have a greater impact with the work that you're doing and have that income be something that you know that you can bank on a consistent basis at a higher level. Or you could be rocking it out and now you're ready to look at systematizing your relationship with money so that you're generating higher profits. When I looked through the quizzes this morning, that's what I saw was a big deal, profitability, and making sure that you're increasing that. And that of course generates additional ease and lets us begin to turn our attention to what is the legacy that we're leaving when we're looking at money in our life. So my hope for you as you're stepping into this world of entrepreneurialism or generating greater ease or moving into legacy is that you're truly creating the business that you desire. There's no right or wrong here. It's just, what do you want to create? And we're going to talk a little bit today about the different kinds of businesses you can create, but for you to be able to create what makes your heart sing. And then that you also live the lifestyle you desire at the same time. You know, so often it's, oh, I will when. And what I want to encourage you is to be open to living the lifestyle you desire while at the same time you're creating your business. And what this represents to me is choice. Freedom to me is being at choice, being able to choose to do the things that you want to do when you want to do them without having to worry about the cost of things. And so often I see we're run by this thing called money as opposed to feeling like we're at choice with it. And so those are my hopes for you today. As we're going along today, I'm going to ask you to make a big decision at one point. And the question is, will you harness the power of money, or will you let it take you for a ride? Now, I love this picture because horses to me are such beautiful, majestic animals. And yet, as you can see in this picture, if you hopped on the back of that horse, you would probably have no idea what kind of a ride you were going to go on. And I find this can be often very true with people's relationship with money. So we want to kind of look at what is going on for us with that. So we're going to talk about that today as we're going along. So for those of you who might be new to me, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I became an entrepreneur way back in the day because I was choosing the lifestyle. I was a single mom and I wanted to make sure that I could provide the kind of lifestyle for my daughter that was on my heart to create for her. I also wanted the flexibility to be able to go to the school events with her whenever that was required. So I began in real estate. I started flipping homes and I began on a credit card because as a woman in Montana, for those of you that don't know, I live in beautiful Kalispell, Montana, and incomes here are not quite the same, and especially if you're a woman in Montana. Yes, we are still that backwards. And so I wanted to be able to do that on my own. So I started with a credit card because I couldn't get a line of credit, which is of course different today, but back then that's the way it was. And at the same time, I began to build my accounting company. So this is where I started to do accounting for a couple of small businesses in town. I eventually landed a huge client in DC where we were running government contracts and payrolls with union employees, and it was a great job until, of course, my big client decided not to be a big client anymore. And so I learned then to rebuild my company so I had multiple streams of income and was not quite so tied to one individual. And then, of course, the crash of 2008 happened. And that was a time when a lot of us were taken for a wild ride with money, myself included. And that's when it led me to kind of begin to look really deeply at how I was taken on this wild ride, because it was just so unnecessary on many, many levels. And what I found at the base of it is that our relationship with money was at the root of this wild ride. In other words, you know, we can know the steps. I mean, I know accounting. I've been doing this for years, right? But without the systems, the processes, and an active relationship with money, then we truly can't get to where we want to go. So that's when I began to look at things in a different way. Now I have the joy of providing solid employment, not just for myself in Montana, but for my team as well. And I have turned my practice into being dedicated to helping people harness the power of money so that it truly supports you and your vision. I mean, I can give you good numbers all day long as an accountant for you, but until I can help you truly connect with those numbers in a way that you're harnessing the power of money so it works for you instead of having its way with you, then it's really difficult for me to help you confidently get to where you want to go and have some fun along the way with it, right? Because we want to build our business and build the lifestyle that we desire, not something that we feel is being done to us. And that was a pivotal point for me as well as I was building my company. So my big why, you see here my daughter in the top corner with my granddaughter, my husband, and my grandson. They are truly my joy. And my daughter has been with horses, I think since she was 6 years old. We got her first pony, and you'll see here some of, she does many disciplines. The picture in the corner here with the horse all dressed up, for those of you who are familiar with horses, that takes quite a feat to get a horse to trust you that much to be able to do that. But that's been my big why, and why I am willing to take new things on as I continue to build this business and the legacy that I desire to leave. So are you ready for that big decision that I talked about? And the decision is, will you harness the power of money, or will you continue to let it take you for a ride? Do you want to be the one that's holding onto the rope going for the wild ride with no idea where you'll end up? Or do you want to be the one doing beautiful things, harnessing the power and powerful force and energy of actually having it work with you? Money can do anything you want it to. The key is, though, that it does it through you in relationship with you. Just like these horse pictures, learning how to work with this horse so that you have a beautiful ride instead of a wild ride is a process, right? So I've created this material for you today to help you with that relationship with money, to be in a relationship that empowers you and puts the money to work for you. So you're going for a beautiful ride instead of a wild one. All right, the number one challenge that I see when it comes to money is that oftentimes we're flying by the seat of our pants, and what that means is that we're making decisions on emotion. So we make those decisions on emotion oftentimes because we've got our head in the sand, or we're trying to just force our way through it and dominate this money thing. If that's you and you want to stay in that space, then what I'm going to share with you today might not be that helpful. Because the truth is, what happens is it takes an active relationship, just like with the horse, right? Like I can train a horse to run barrels, or I can train a horse to jump over fences. The bottom line is I have to make a decision. And then I want to look for the best combination for me to create the results I'm looking for. If I'm looking to create a barrel horse, well, I probably want to get a quarter horse. If I'm looking to run fences and eventing, well, I'm probably looking for a thoroughbred. You want to find the systems with money that'll do the same thing. What do you want to create? And we're going to talk about that more as we're going on, because it's you working together with money that will help you create your desired outcomes. So, you're making decisions by emotion if you find yourself spending based on what's in your checkbook balance, or do you have room left on that credit card, or maybe on your line of credit, instead of making a decision knowing that this investment or this expenditure is actually keeping me on my path to get the results that I'm looking for. So some of the reasons that we do this were because we're never really taught how to manage money. Like, I mean, all the way back into high school, like we're never even taught how to run a checkbook, right? So unless you were part of an entrepreneurial family or had a financial mentor along the way, there's a lot of tips and tricks to financial management that you've probably never even seen. Another reason I see that we'll do this is, we're really good masters of deception with ourselves, right? If I don't look at it, if I don't know the black and white, I can really make up just about any story I want to. Things are going great. Okay, I've had clients they'll come to work with us and they'll say, oh yeah, I made $250,000 last year. It's like, okay, great, let's put the books together and see that. And then we get the books together and it's $100,000. Well, that's a big difference, right? And then it's like, oh, well, that's why I was struggling here, here, and here. And it's just, if you don't have the numbers to look at, you really don't know what's going on, right? And sometimes we don't have the numbers because we really don't want to know. But what I want to do is flip that picture of not wanting to know because it's scary to wanting to know because it's empowering. So once you know, now you're at choice. And remember, for me, choice is freedom. So I want to help put you in that driver's seat to be at choice. So the first way that we do that, one of the most important things, is systems. And I know systems is not a sexy word. It's not one of those things that it's like, oh yeah, I want to build systems, right? But here's the truth. They are so powerful. Systems are the foundations for your financial ease. They're the things that will support you having the habits of financially successful entrepreneurs. And, you know, changing habits is something that sounds like a ton of work, right? But the truth is, once we have a system that supports us, we'll get to the place where it's just habitual and we don't even have to think about it. Systems are the things that help us make sure nothing will fall through the cracks. And it's what puts us in the driver's seat because it helps us feel more clear, more confident, and allows us to stay committed. And that's what I want for you this year. I want this year to be your breakthrough year, to have a year of financial ease. You know, if I think about systems and horses, just like working with a horse, there's systematic things you do with a horse every day, right? Like you have to feed the thing every day. As a matter of fact, you have to feed it twice a day. And then there's tools of working with the horse. We have brushes and we have saddles and we have blankets and helmets and boots, and you know, all of those things are systems. Systems that make that working relationship with a horse come together smoothly and easily. There's training regimens and things that make that relationship become fun and safe and enjoyable for both of you, the horse and for yourself. It's the same thing with money. Systems are what will help us make money work smoothly and easily for us. So 3 systems that you must have in order to have this financial ease. There's an accounting system for tracking. There's a filing system for backup for paper. I know for a lot of people, paper is like shoveling poop with horses, but it's you gotta have it. And then there's the reporting systems. The whole reason we do accounting is for reporting, and we want that reporting to be what provides us with confidence. So these are the systems that will give us the financial ease that we're truly looking for. So it's simple, right? Just 3 simple systems. We just have to learn how to put them in place. They're just typically new for us. The number one mistake that we make, myself included, when I was getting started, is telling myself that I'm just not ready, right? I'm not making enough money to worry about this. I don't have a big enough company to look at having to need all of these things in place. Here's the truth about that. When we wait too long, we typically have a mess that we have to go back and unpack. And the bigger piece of this when we wait too long is that we have left so much money on the table. And that honestly is a big piece of what makes or breaks people, especially in the beginning. And when remember, it doesn't matter what stage you're at, right? Like if you're in the beginning, you're losing money from just by leaving it on the table. But if you're making consistent money and you don't have these systems, because some of us are really good at making a lot of money, we just can't hold on to it. It's just flying right through your hands. And oftentimes that looks like paying too much in tax. It can look like having expenses that you're just not even consciously making anymore. It's just flying through your bank account because it always has. And then on the back end, you know, when we're established and we're making consistent money, we're not able to ever truly leave that legacy because we didn't put the systems in place to help us get there. So the systems stay the same no matter what level that we're at. We just ask different questions of the system. So your systems are your support platforms, and they are not a one-size-fits-all. Okay, remember I said we're either creating a barrel horse or we're creating an eventing horse. It's the same thing with money. we're either creating a system for a company where we're going to have employees and we're going to have sell the company down the road, or we're creating systems for a solopreneur where your business is a cash machine for you. The bottom line is you want to have the systems and the support platform to make it all happen. And you get to decide, right? Even if you have a lot of team in this area with money, you still want to be the one who's driving the team. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more today. You want to be the one who's driving the whole machine and not abdicating that to somebody else. Because the bottom line is nobody's going to care about your money as much as you do. So it's really important that you stay in that driver's seat with these platforms. So my tip number one for you, for the best system for you, is understanding what your end run is. And that's, what kind of business are you building? What kind of lifestyle do you desire? Are you building something to sell, like I said, or are you building a cash machine? These are decisions that I find people wait way too long to get consciously clear about. Because with any kind of planning or any kind of system base, we want to begin with the end in mind. So you want to think about that. Tip number two is, what kind of flexibility do you want? And you want to give yourself permission to go for whatever it is that you want. Do you want to work 10 hours a week? Do you want to work 40 hours a week? Do you want to have a team, or do you want to be a solopreneur? Do you want to travel, or do you want to work virtually with people? Do you want a barrel horse, or do you want to be an inventor, right? The thing is, whatever it is, it's good and right and perfect for you. So let's just make those decisions and get started with it. And then tip number three is, what's your relationship to paper? I had a mentor once that said, figure out how to deal with this thing called paper or decide to be poor. And there's a level of truth to that. Doesn't mean you have to do it all, but it does mean you have to have some kind of a system. So I typically recommend that people start really general, like make a broad sweep, right? If you're the person who needs to put it in a box and ship the box off once a month, great. The bigger your systems get, then let's get more specific about it. But the truth is, paper is a natural byproduct of dealing with money. It's a natural byproduct of money, of business. Whether you're doing it all digitally or whether you're still old school with actual paper, it's a reality. So we want to have a system for it. Otherwise, things can get really messy really fast, right? The dog ate my homework, like it happens, okay? So we want to make sure that we have a system for it. The other challenge that I see is too often we operate like a lone wolf for way too long. We wear all the hats and we have a really hard time asking for help. Now, I mean, I can tell you, I've certainly walked that road myself, and it's much more fun when there's team. Believe me, I've been there, done that. If I could encourage you to do one thing, is to be open up to not doing this on your own. My daughter, when she started riding horses, she didn't learn to ride all the disciplines all by herself, right? She had help. She worked with a number of different trainers over the year. Each trainer brought their own expertise to the table. And then there's also the support members, like the vet and the farrier, the person who does the horse's feet. They bring specialized knowledge to the table. So today, one of the things that we're going to talk about how to overcome this is, who are the players on the team? And what kind of specialized knowledge will they bring to the table, and how will you use that knowledge? So you'll know that you're a lone wolf and wearing all these hats if you tell yourself that you just really don't have enough to worry about, and it's just easier, faster, more simpler for you to do it all by yourself. I want you to know that it's crazy, and this is why you feel like you're on a wild ride like this. This is why, oftentimes I find that money is the last thing that we're looking at. We'll go back to either we have the head in the sand or we just really don't want to know. And this is why we feel like we're on a ride like this. So oftentimes the reason that we go on those rides is because we think that we're not where we should be. and we're embarrassed. And believe me, I see this at every level of money. There's so much shame around money, and it doesn't matter whether you have a ton of it or whether you have a little bit of it, whether you're just getting started or whether you've been doing this a long time. The reality is it's a choice. It's a choice between being embarrassed and not looking at it and having regrets, or a choice of leaning in and let's take this thing on. So I want you to just kind of think about, 15 years from now, where do you want to be when you look backwards? Do you want to look backwards on the regret that you didn't face the reality of this thing called money, maybe some possible embarrassment of putting it all on the table and saying this is what it is today? Or do you want to look backwards and look at all that you've accomplished because you were willing to get real with this thing? And your willingness to be in the conversation of money is a choice. And that's where I want you to be. I want you to be consciously making the choice of leaning in with this thing called money. So I've got a secret for you. And what I know about you is that you're really bright and you're really capable. And that's why you do so much on your own, right? So when it comes to this thing called money, the truth is you were never taught how to do it. So you're not familiar with all the rules of the game. So if you're ready to embrace this game and ready to play this new game, then let's step into it. So the mistake when people begin to look at money or begin to work in a business is that we don't always play in that zone of genius. That's that wearing all the hats, right? We can because we're able, right? We do because we're capable. And you're always going to be capable, right? The bottom line is you want to look at what are the pieces that you could begin to take off so that you can always play in your zone of genius. And what that typically means for us is that we need to hire. And hiring can be really scary. And this is where it's like, number one, who do I hire? Number two, when do I hire them? And if I hire them, how am I going to afford them? As we do planning with our clients when they're looking to up level, bringing in that support is a huge piece of it. And so we want to look at, what are the things that we'll hire, and then trust ourselves that when we're freed up, when that person is brought on to support us at the next level, that we will truly play in our zone of genius and create new results because of it. The fear that we get stuck in is that, okay, I get it, that's important, I can do that, but I'll take care of it when? I'll take care of it when I make the next sale. I'll take care of it when I find the next client. I'll take care of it when, we get through the next quarter. The truth is that's a hamster wheel that we stay on for a long time. And because we're really capable, we have created some amazing results. And oftentimes we're actually afraid that if we stop and we hire, because it takes time, right? It takes time to find somebody, it takes time to train them up, it takes time for you to become a working, viable team, that all of a sudden all of these balls are going to start dropping. And sometimes that can look like, we just start spinning. So we get busier and busier and busier thinking that, okay, all this busyness is what will create new results. But the thinking that has created the results for you today, the systems that you have in place today, whether they're conscious or unconscious, have created the results. And if you're going to make some new results, you need some new systems and some new ways of thinking. The other way that it can show up is we've often heard it called the shiny object syndrome. We invest in that next thing that just might be the thing that makes it all come together. And then we'll go back and put these systems in place. And then we'll go back and address this thing called money because this thing is going to make it work. I mean, it made it work for Jane. It might make it work for me too. But that's not always what happens because what works for Jane's got a different picture, got a different goal, got a different scenario of how she's going to do things than you do. You want to make sure that you know that these objects are the right thing for you at the right time. Okay. Sometimes it's like, well, I'll just stay here where I'm comfortable, because you know what? It gets uncomfortable when you try new things. And the bottom line is, whoops, bottom line is, sometimes you're going to fall off, right? Because whenever we take on new things, we don't always know the whole picture. And sometimes we are going to go for a ride that is going to land us on the ground. And the bottom line is, when you're learning to manage money, you're going to lose money along the way. You're going to make investments that don't work. You're going to hire people that aren't the right fit. You're going to put your money in a investment that comes back with a zero return. It happens. It's part of the game, right? So what we want to do is know and be grounded in our big why, and that's what helps us get back in the saddle. That's what helps us know, you know what, I'm on the path, I'm making progress, and I truly have a sense of reality that my dreams are going to happen. So I am going to take the risk of knowing that I'm going to fall every now and then. I'm going to have great support around me to help me get back up, and then I'm going to get back in the saddle because my why is big enough to get back in the saddle for. We also want to eliminate the lie. I see people hit the same money wall at all different levels of financial accomplishment. So this goes back to, I'll do it, I don't make enough money today to worry about this. Here's the truth about this. If you don't create the systems now, then things will happen that will force you to come back and create these systems, because you have to have them in order to progress. And this is where I said, some people, yeah, they can make a lot of money really fast, but without the systems, it flies through their hands. Whereas there's other people where they just can't even make the money because they don't have the systems to help them in the first place. So it doesn't matter where you are, this wall will come at you. So you do want to learn how to master it along the way. So the beginning wall that I see is the early roller coaster is, can I pay my bills? One month it's like, oh yeah, I got that client and I'm going to pay my bills. But then next month, oh, I wasn't able to nail that client, and now my line of credit's going up, or my credit card debt's going up. And it's that feast or famine thing that we can't quite get off the roller coaster, right? But I also see that even when business is accomplished and you do have regular consistent income, but you're still on the roller coaster, right? You have periods of growth and then you have periods of contraction. And so you're still doing the ups and the downs, they're just bigger swings, right? Same story, just more zeros. That's it. I mean, it truly is a reality. And then there's the ultimate roller coaster, and you might have experienced this, or you might know somebody who experienced this, where they have massive growth and great growth, but then they end up in bankruptcy and they have to start all over again. It's because they didn't have the systems in place along the way. So if you can see yourself in some of these roller coasters and kind of identify with where you might be in that process, the question is, are you ready for something different? I know the crash of 2008 was what led me to begin to explore, okay, what are the systems so that that doesn't happen to me again? And for you, I want you to remember that decision that we talked about a little bit before. Are you ready for more? Are you ready when you decided that you wanted to have this amazing relationship with money so that it can work for you and with you to help you fulfill your dreams, rather than burying your head in the sand and fighting against it so you're going on that wild ride? So this, what we're going to step into now is the things that will support you in fulfilling that decision of having this new relationship with money. So I believe that your dreams, your visions, your desires are your gifts. those are visions and dreams that have been given to you. They're not my dreams and visions. I have my own, and those are my gifts. And so if you have a picture of it, if you have a thought about it, a dream about it, it's your gift. So let's get this money piece handled so that you can truly step into that. This is a client of mine who doing great and wanted to be able to get to the next step. And so her need was to come together to get off the emotional roller coaster of money. And then once we could do that, then we could put the systems up under her to help her truly achieve those next stages in life. What she wanted her life to look like, what she wanted her business to look like, and what she wanted her income to look like. So one final thought on this, why you want to make this change or why you chose into it, is that you truly can be the person that you need to be to make all of this happen. I already know that's true for you. And now what I want to do is just kind of share with you some systems that will help you with that. So congratulations for making that decision to choose into this thing called money, because you're on your way to your easiest year yet financially. So here's some of the things that we've talked about today. We talked about the 3 things that you must have for financial ease. Those were those 3 systems that we talked about. We talked about how to avoid the single biggest financial mistake that most people make. We talked about why you can do this differently. We talked about money being the lifeblood of your business and wanting that to flow easily. And we talked about the number 1 tip for knowing what to do when, right? So all of that is good, but there's more that we want to know, because some of the things that will still get in the way for us are, where do we start? So I want you to think on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that you have no idea where to start and you don't even know what to do about it, and 10 being that you're perfectly clear, right? You not only know where you want to start, but you know exactly what you're going to do and you have a schedule for doing it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, think about where you really are when it comes to the clarity of how to start creating these systems for yourself, those 3 systems we talked about today. Then I want you to think about the time you have available to get those systems put in place. I know for most of us, it goes back to that juggling act we were talking about earlier, right? Well, if I stop and actually get this handled, I might drop some balls. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in the time in order to make that happen? And then making it a priority, right? This is the, are we going to stick our head in the sand and not take a look at this because we kind of like being able to make the story up along the way? Or are you going to make it a priority? That the reality is that that's a choice that we all get to make, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, do you have a team to help you create these systems? So oftentimes when we do them in a vacuum, that's the, we have accomplished great things so far, right? We're really capable, and it's what's allowed us to create the systems that we have so far. So do you have the team to help you create systems that will take you to the next level? And then are you feeling nervous about it, or are you reluctant or maybe even possibly afraid of starting figuring these systems out? What we want to do is let's just get them handled. Let's just get it done, and then you'll be able to move into them, okay? And remember, at the end of today, I told you that I would have a special gift for you. So there's a set of skills that help you step into these systems with confidence. And I'm going to share that with you at the end of our time together today. So let's talk a little bit more about what are the next steps for this, okay? What I know for sure is that you can never make enough money to free yourself from poor money management. So let me explain that a little bit, right? We all tell ourselves this lie at some point. Oh, I'm just going to make enough money that all these problems I have with cash flow or hiring support or be able to begin to save or create the legacy that I desire will just go away. You know, I'm just going to make a ton of money. And we saw that with the different roller coasters, right? It doesn't go away. It just, it's not a reality. If that's what you're hoping for, then you're going to do these big jumps like this horse, and then you're going to come down again. And so we want to make sure that we create the systems so that we're not in a roller coaster of going up and down all the time. Another thing that I know for sure, that no matter what level you're at, it's possible for you to create these systems. So I don't care if you've been doing this a really long time or whether you're just getting started, let's put these systems in place so we stop the roller coaster ride. So we stop the craziness of going on a ride where you're not sure where you want to go. And also what I know for sure is you really don't have to do this alone. We all begin somewhere, okay, with the support from someone who knows more than we do. So what I know for sure is you can have that relationship with money that puts money to work for you. I've seen it over and over and over with the clients that we work with. It's not dependent on you hitting it so big someday that money's not an issue for you. It's dependent on getting those systems in place so that you're set up to win. So I want to support you with that because it's easier than you think. Like once we gather everything together and the picture becomes black and white, there's a sense of relief and a sense of empowerment that's real. And that's why I created this accounting alchemy bootcamp, so that you can get it done right and you can get it done fast, and we can do it together in as little as 3 hours. I promise we can get those things put together for you. So in this boot camp, what I did is I put together an opportunity to create your systems in combinations with others. There's nothing better than synergy to keep your energy up and get this thing done, because I know systems aren't sexy, so let's just set a time aside and get it done. Doing it in an environment where there's bigger possibility. And this is where when we come together with all of our ideas, we're almost held to a higher standard together of getting these things put together. And when we can see that others are doing it too, then the possibilities just open up. It's also an opportunity where you're with somebody who knows more than you do, so you can get all your questions answered for you. Because in the boot camp, I'm going to share with you my best shortcuts, my best tips and tricks, and it'll be a super fun and easy way for you to step powerfully into financial ease. Like, let's just get these things put together and make it happen so that 2017 can be your year for financial ease. If this money piece is the piece that's been missing for you, then let's just get it handled together. So in this accounting alchemy, this is a boot camp that you're going to get to work with me plus the others who are in the camp so that you can get it done in 3 hours. You'll have the benefit of hearing from others who are doing the same thing as we learn from each other. Oh, there's that little plus sign I was looking for. We're going to do this again at an easy time. You know, we'll get it done fast and get it done right. We're going to do it on a Saturday. I find those days are the best times with no interruptions to kind of set some time apart to get these kinds of things happen. So we're going to do it on March 4th at 9 a.m. Pacific. And again, we'll meet for 3 hours on that day. We're going to be going through all kinds of reports and examples. So we'll cover the 5 elements that make reporting for you and what you want to be looking at in those elements so that you can drive it. I don't expect you to become a bookkeeper or to become an accounting officer or to become a CPA, right? You don't need to know how to do all those things, but you do want to know how to drive it. And if you're just beginning, then let's put together a great spreadsheet for you so that you can begin to work with it. And when you're ready to hire that team, let's put it together and have it move on. We're going to go through some training. I'm going to give you a checklist of things that will help you be prepared when you come to the 3-hour training, so we can just knock it out. You'll have all your stuff together that will help you be able to do that for you. And then feature number 4, there will be lots of bonuses in here so that you can confidently lead your financial management. One of the biggest things in financial management that I find is this deal of working with team. And so I'm going to show you how to show up confidently with team. During the boot camp, we're going to walk through the in-depth difference between a bookkeeper, an accounting officer, and a CPA. You know, who do you hire? When do you hire them? What are good expectations of them? So that you know that you're working with the right person at the right time. What's most important for you to understand with team is that these people are here to support you. So I'm going to show you or share with you actually a list of interview questions when you're thinking about hiring these people, or whether you're looking at changing these people, is how do you sit down to talk with them with confidence? Rather than feeling like you're, sitting on the other side of the desk in a compromised position, showing them all your stuff, right? Because that's often what I hear is people's experience when they sit down with people who work with money. So I want to help you be in the position where you're in charge, because you get to decide who supports you. It's not just about handing everything over, it's about you harnessing the power of choosing the right fit for you. It's just like a horse trainer, right? I want to hire somebody who's going to teach me how to run barrels, not somebody who's going to teach me how to go over fences if barrels is what I want to run. It's the same thing with your financial team. You want to partner with somebody who is truly going to support your vision and help you get where you want to go. And then because I know that when you get started with stuff like this and you start walking down the road and using your system or creating your system, you're going to have questions. We can only digest so much at once. Then we go implement, and we're going to have questions, and I am so committed to you being able to walk these systems that I'll have another Q&A session after the boot camp to get those questions answered for you. One of the other things that I'm going to give you as a bonus in the boot camp is a financial file cabinet worksheet. One of the things when it comes to money, and you might have experienced this already in life or know somebody who has, but when you don't have things all together and something happens, it leaves those that are left the mess to try and figure out what's going on. So I'm going to share with you, this is an Excel spreadsheet that you just get to plug everything into that will help you alleviate any kinds of mess. It also helps you along the way today. It's another one of those systems, right? Helps you along the way today when you're up leveling or when you're taking on the next thing or when you're adding pieces. You have this baseline thing that you get to add to so you never have the mess again. Once we create the baseline system, then you're ready to rock and roll. So I just want to recap what's a part of this boot camp. We're going to come together for 3 hours to get it all done. I'm going to give you some a pre-boot camp training checklist so that you can get ready to play and come prepared. We're going to work together. I've got a thing out of place, that's okay. We're going to have bonus trainings. There's a resource center that you'll have access to where I'll be sharing with you lots of plug and play checklists or spreadsheets that you get to put things into, just so you don't have to go ahead and do all that kind of stuff yourself. There will also be lots of samples. So, whether you're a service-based business, whether you're a product-based business, whether you're building a cash machine or whether you're building a company with team and support, I'll be sharing with you all of the templates that we have put together. The financial file cabinet, which we just talked about, and the after Q&A. And there it is, the tips and tricks. So obviously I have something to learn about PowerPoint. Okay. By the end of the boot camp, so by the end of our 3 hours together, you will have a complete, easy system to use for filing. Remember that paper that we love so much? We want to make that system something that works for you. Because I can tell you to put together, you know, file cabinet this way, but if file cabinets are not your thing, you're not going to do it, right? So I want to make sure that you have a system that works for you. So I'm going to share with you a number of different systems so you can identify one that works best for you. We're going to cover the financial team. You know, what's the difference between a bookkeeper, an accounting officer, and a CPA? When do you have them on your team? And then how do you interview them so that you can do that with confidence? You'll also have a set of detailed reports that you know are the kind of reports that are good for you. So those are those 5 essential reporting elements that each of us need to have as an entrepreneur or an investor that helps us know that we're on track. And then I'm going to teach you how to connect with those reports so that you have a comfort level with them. So that the numbers actually mean something to you and you don't feel like you're taken on a wild ride. I have a lot of people who are, you know, they're told, yeah, we get reports every month, we put them in a drawer because we don't know what to do with them. I want to help you know what to do with those, okay? And then all of that is what's going to give you the confidence that 2017 will truly be your year for financial ease, that you have these systems that will support you to do that. So the different ways that people normally work with me, I do have a private, you know, where we can work together for 3 hours in private. That is a session that's $29.97. I call that my half VIP day. And then I have a way that clients work with me in group sessions. Normally those group sessions are at an investment of $9.97 per person. But for this boot camp, what I want to do is offer you the opportunity to come together for just $297, where we're going to cover these things together. I'll keep the group small. If we have lots of interest in it, I'll run a second one because I want to make sure that you get all of your questions answered and you truly walk out with the deliverables that I just shared with you. So you can see more about this boot camp at the cfoagency.com/accounting alchemy. That's the name of the boot camp. And just to remember, I want to make things easy for you, so I will be sharing with you that financial file cabinet. It's a total plug and play. It's not anything that you're going to have to create on your own, but it's something that will help you stay organized along the way, as well as be a gift for your loved ones if and when that becomes an issue. Well, not if and when, because it happens to all of us, right? So here's what you want to do next. You want to go out to that website, the cfoagency.com//accounting alchemy. Purchase the boot camp for only $297. You'll be given you'll get a email where you're going to go in and create your own password to the boot camp. There's a landing page there where you're going to find the checklist for the pre-boot camp steps. There'll be a recording of this webinar there for you if you want to listen to it again, as well as the financial ease quick start guide, which is what we're really going to be unpacking through that boot camp so that you can come to the boot camp ready to play. All right, just so you know that my commitment to you is that you win in this. So my first promise is that if you attend the boot camp and you take the steps and it just doesn't work for you, or you don't feel that you got what you needed, we will totally refund your $297. My goal is that you're happy and that you have the things that you need to make this year one of financial ease for you. My other promise for you is that if you do the boot camp and you want to work further with us and our team, then we'll apply that investment of $297 to whatever you would like to work next with us. So again, as a reminder, you can go out to the accounting, cfoagency.com/accounting alchemy. And for an investment as low as $297 today, get that 3-hour training so that you can make 2017 your year for financial ease. Another thing that you'll find on the Accounting Alchemy page, you will have an opportunity for some additional private support if you feel that that would be something that will further support you. When you say yes to the Accounting Alchemy Bootcamp, you'll also be given the option to add another private review session where you can spend a half an hour with one of my amazing accounting officers, taking a look at all of the things that we've created in the bootcamp together. So if you want some more eyes, if you will, on your systems and how you're going to move into those in this upcoming year, you can do that for as low as $67. This sign-up page is the only place you'll see it at that price. Otherwise, when we're in the boot camp, you'll have the opportunity to do it for $97. So if you think that that's something that will be of value to you, then I highly recommend that you make that purchase now, and you'll be really glad that you did. So making 2017 your year for financial ease, that's what this boot camp's all about for you. You know, when we make the choice to play a bigger game, when we make the choice to jump into a bigger pond like this little fish is on his way to, having the systems and the support up underneath you to set you up to win are critical. And so up-leveling our skills is a part of that. These systems are a skill base that you're going to be up-leveling, and you'll have them to rinse and repeat again and again and again. Remember the wall? We don't want to hit that wall. So we get it handled, and then we always have it for us. We don't want to do it alone, so make sure that you come to the boot camp rather than trying to do it on your own, that lone wolf syndrome that we talked about a little bit earlier. Okay, so I promised to share with you the gift of the 7 master skills, and so when you go to the cfoagency.com/accounting alchemy, that master skills sheet will be there for you to download, and you don't have to purchase anything. It's right there for you. So just go on out to the Accounting Alchemy page and download that, that free master skills list. And those are the skills that you will use with the systems so that you can truly have your year of financial ease. Okay, so that's what I have for our presentation today. We have a little bit of time left for some Q&A. And Miss Gina, I don't know that I figured out how to answer questions. So let me see if we have
If they have a question, they can unmute themselves and ask it, or they can type it in the chat box and I will relay it to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's a question. And the question is, paying myself on a consistent basis is something that I struggle with. And you are absolutely right. It is every entrepreneur's issue. And one of the things that makes that happen, that's that cycle of robbing Peter to pay Paul. When we don't get into the habit, if you will, of having money flow from our business to our personal life in a consistent manner, then we never get out of that cycle. And I see this happen at every level of business, okay? That, you know, giving yourself a regular paycheck, even if in the beginning that means you're just putting money into a savings account, it's really critical to have the system in place to make that happen. Oftentimes it's that, well, I don't know how much I can do, or I'm just getting started and I'm on the roller coaster, right? And so, so I'm not making that happen. Here's the truth. You're never going to get off that roller coaster. It's, remember, same game, more zeros. If you don't start the habit today, if you don't develop the skill today of paying yourself first on a consistent basis, it's not going to come. So when we work with our clients, we work with clients both corporately and personally. And the reason that is so important to me is because the reason we went into business was for something more than the business. Yes, we're typically visionary. We're really tied into the impact that we create in the world. And if we can't make it work for us too, we don't get to make the impact that we truly desire. That is a mindset to really truly embrace, and there's all kinds of reasons why we don't. But what I find is if I can help you create a system to get the money from your business to your personal account on a consistent basis right from the start, it will set you up to win on many levels for a long period of time. So we will talk about that because it's a real issue, not paying yourself first. And in the beginning, it's more important that you do it consistently than the amount. And then of course, we're going to work on the amount when we get really clear on part of the systems of 5 elements that we put together, the reporting, or so we can see what's really happening. And then when we know what's really happening, now we can be at choice to make adjustments so that I can pay my investments for my business, and I can pay to keep the lights on at home. I can pay to have a support person, and I can continue to build for my long-term legacy at home, so I know that I'm taken care of. That's, you know, in the beginning, people will come to me because they're struggling with cash flow. When people are making consistent money, they'll come to me because they're starting to get worried about tomorrow. Like they feel like they've been investing and investing and investing and they're not seeing the ROI. Part of it is creating the systems to understand what is the ROI, like what's working and what's not, right? And then people will come to me with the long-term legacy because they want to make sure that they're not only taken care of for tomorrow, but so are all of the people that are on their heart to care for, whether that's your family, whether that's your community, whether that's your people that you're making a big impact with. The legacy piece can be huge. So it's a great question, and it filters into just about every area of financial management is taking care of yourself first. It's huge. So thank you for that question. Okay, let's see if we have another one. Okay, here's another one. How do I know what's a good profit margin for my company? So profitability is one of those things, you know, different industries have different margins. And one of the first benchmarks of profitability that I like to help my clients get to is that the net number at the very end after you have paid yourself. So that's typically the kicker, right? But the profitability number that we're going to shoot for after you have paid yourself is 35%. Now, if that number just tipped you over, what that tells me is one of two things are happening. Either your cost of producing is too high, so that means you're probably not priced right, or you're losing a lot in the middle. So it's not always just about making more money. It's knowing that the cost of actually producing what we're doing, quote unquote, pencils, right? That you know, if I charge myself out at $50 an hour or I charge myself out at $5,000 an hour, I have to know that what it takes to get myself out the door at that price still leaves me a profitability margin of 35%. And if I'm not hitting that, I need to get really clear on why. And oftentimes it's in pricing. Like people who are really, really good at making money, make it up. That's where they fly by the seat of their pants. It's like, oh, I'll charge this person 5,000. I'll charge the next guy 4. It's just kind of whatever feels good in the moment when I'm making my pitch, right? And so, unfortunately, that puts you on that middle-sized roller coaster, right? And so we want to systematize and understand, you know, what's the break point? Like if you're going to charge one person 5,000 and one person 4, what just happened for you because of that? We really want to understand it. And we want to understand it in the context of not just your business numbers, but also at home, right? Because remember, we never do this for the money. We do this for what the money will provide. And that's why we need to be in relationship with the money to make it actually happen for us. That 35% is not something carved in stone. I have some service providers where their business is a cash machine and it's just them, and their profit margins are significantly higher than that. So it also does depend on the nature of your business. Okay, great. Next question. Do I have to use QuickBooks or can I use a free online service that seems similar? I like that it's free and I don't want to buy QuickBooks and go through the learning curve. So it's a great question. So QuickBooks we use QuickBooks for 99% of our clients. We have some that have proprietary software that they use. But QuickBooks, the reason I like QuickBooks is because it gives you a true profit and loss and balance sheet. And the balance sheet is one of the most misunderstood documents that's out there. And it's where all your wealth development lives. So remember I talked about 5 key elements that we need? That balance sheet is a big one. So do I have to use QuickBooks? The answer is no. I mean, there is other software out there, and there's many online platforms for it. I will tell you though, that as you continue to grow, if you're new and you just want to use a spreadsheet, or you're using one of those other online platforms, what you're getting is basically a glorified checkbook. It's a checkbook that's actually giving you a profit and loss. And yes, they tell you they make a balance sheet, but they really don't. And the thing about when you're ready to move into something like QuickBooks, it's also the time that you're ready to move into having support. Because the learning curve of understanding how to use QuickBooks, my answer is it the highest and best use of your time? And 9 times out of 10, the answer to that is no, right? Because the highest and best use of your time is staying in your zone of genius. So first we need to identify what is your zone of genius, and then what are the kinds of support that will help you? What's the investment of that, and how do we make that happen for you? That's at creating the kind of business that you want to create and creating the kind of lifestyle that you want to live, right? So yes, there are free platforms out there. They're a good place to start just to begin to track, because tracking income and tracking expenses is step number 1, right? Having something to even look at is important. Okay. Here's another question. Will we learn how to read and analyze a P&L and balance sheet? Yes, we are going to go through some samples of P&L and balance sheets because it's really important that you know what numbers to truly be looking at. And then why do you want to have different levels of detail? So I've seen P&Ls that are like 4 pages long, and I've seen P&Ls that are, you know, half a page long. So understanding even what makes a really good P&L and balance sheet, and hopefully giving you some insight into what to look at on a balance sheet, because that's really what we're ultimately developing over time is the balance sheet. And I know for a lot of people, it's just something that, oh yeah, it's a report that I get, but I really don't know what we're doing. Okay. So yes, we are going to cover those, and I'm going to give you samples of good P&Ls and good balance sheets that we'll talk through. Okay, this is the same person who asked about the QuickBooks. The online accounting system I've started with is called The Wave. That's fine. Yep. You're awesome, and I'm so grateful to be here on this webinar. Thanks for all the sharing and inspiration. You are truly welcome. It is truly my pleasure. Anytime I think I have an opportunity to help demystify this thing called money, it's a good opportunity. And my hope is that that we'll see a number of you in the boot camp so that we can really help you get this baseline system nailed. And it's a muscle, right? It's a muscle that grows, so that the more we work with it, the better, the stronger we get with it. And again, you don't want to hit the wall, because I'll guarantee you will. And eventually, if you want to stay in the game and you want to make this thing rock and roll, that's what you're going to need, is these baseline systems. So you're welcome, and it's truly my pleasure. All right, we are 10 minutes past the hour, so I know we've gone a little bit over our time. Thank you for hanging in with me here with these questions. And again, you know, in the boot camp, my goal in that boot camp is to help you not only create your system, but get your questions answered so you can get out the gate after that Saturday actually using it. It's a great time of year to put it in place, so that at the end of this year, you can look backwards and say, I nailed my results consciously. In other words, I was able to truly be at choice all the way along, and that choice is what gave me the sense of financial ease. So I hope to have the privilege of working with you in the boot camp. And again, you can go to the CFOagency.com, Accounting Alchemy, and that's where you can register for the boot camp. And I will look forward to talking with you then. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Saturday. Thank you for being here. And we'll, oh yes, the boot camp is open to Canadians, and there's no issues on the international status. The only way we get an issue with the Canadian status is if with the taxes. So, but as far as how we set our reporting up, how we connect with it, the financial systems totally translate, and we do work with Canadian clients as well. Thank you, that's a great question. It translates across all the states too, and we do consulting with international clients as well. Okay, all right. Thank you, and have a great rest of your Saturday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.